Hello everyone and welcome to Molehill Mountain episode 305. I'm Andrew. Hi, how are you? Nice shoes. So, I don't know if this is your experience, but it is my experience and I will now share this experience with you. Regale you with the experience I've had this week. Once upon a time, I'm pretty sure, YouTube introduced a setting somewhere in settings that allows users to, hey Chicago, that allows users to set a default resolution for their videos that they're watching on YouTube. So that when you click to watch a video, if it can, it defaults to your resolution. So if you really want to watch stuff in 480, you can. But if you want to default to 1080, you can. Hey, you're rocking a spiffin' 4K monitor? You can set the default, and if that doesn't exist, it'll just keep going down until it finds the highest resolution. I'm pretty sure that used to be an option. I can't find it anymore. Why did I go looking for that option, you say? Well, it's a good question. I went looking for that option this week because I noticed, because it's really visually obvious, that every single YouTube video I click on since middle of the week sometime defaults to low resolution, like 480p. You might think, something wrong with your internet? No. I tested it. My internet's fine. So, for the past few days, every time I watch a video, I have to pause the video, click on the little gear icon, select the quality, and then change it off of auto to 1080p, which it immediately snaps to and starts playing. I have to do that for every single video, every single time. This is not an improvement, YouTube. So I emailed YouTube, and they never responded, which is not surprising, they never do. And I tweeted about it, saying that YouTube videos are defaulting to a low resolution, requiring me to manually change it every time I start a video. Well, YouTube support, or Team YouTube rather, actually responded. They didn't capitalize the first word of every sentence. They did capitalize YouTube, so I know their shift keys aren't broken. But they said to me, sometimes YouTube adjusts a vid's resolution to improve viewing. Example, if someone's internet connection is slow, definition can be adjusted. You can still change it yourself from the menu settings by selecting quality, though. Hope this helps. No, you incompetent nitwits. First, learn how to capitalize. Actually, first, stop platforming bigotry and harmful disinformation. Then learn how to capitalize, and then understand that it's not helpful to advise me to do what I clearly said I was doing as a workaround to you messing up your platform again in the tweet you're replying to! Excuse me. This vexes me so. I would rather, I think they have to be doing this on purpose. They have to be doing this on purpose. No one is this unbelievably fucking stupid and incompetent. Oh, did you know that you can manually change the, Yes, I know that. It's why I detailed that's what I had to do to work around the problem, assholes. You can't possibly be this stupid. It's impossible. No one is this fucking stupid. I had to block Team YouTube because they just piss me off. Ugh. So I installed a browser extension that automatically sets YouTube videos to 1080p. Why 1080p? Because I don't have a 4K monitor. I'll admit, I'm in a mood right now. I'm probably just going to be dropping F-bombs and being a surly little shit. I'm having a bad week. It's not this. This is small potatoes. Just other personal stuff. Just, you know, regular things that happen to us all, but, you know, I'm an angry little guy, so I take things and I don't let them go. I have a little bottle and I stuff them all in the bottle and I keep them with me always. So if I'm overreacting, that's why. One of the reasons. I'm also very immature, so I pissed off YouTube, so they set my video res to 480p. It feels like I cannot comprehend a reason why they would remove the ability to set the default video quality. It's weird because technologically the platform is genuinely amazing. Everyone in the world can upload videos that everyone else can watch. It's really quite an incredible piece of technology. It's just the small details that someone had to make a decision on. And like, someone had to read a comment that says, anyone else having an issue with YouTube vids defaulting to a low resolution requiring you to manually change it every single time you start a video? Someone, a living, breathing human being, unless this is somehow just a shitty AI response? I mean, maybe. You'd think their shitty AI would capitalize the first word in sentences, though. But somebody, a living, breathing human being, saw anyone else having issues with vids defaulting to a low resolution requiring you to manually change it every single time you start a video, and responded to it with, you can still change it yourself from the menu settings by selecting the quality, though. Hope this helps. That's got to be on purpose. That has to be deliberately obtuse. That has to be performative stupidity for the purpose of pissing me off? I don't know. It worked. Whatever their goal, that was the result. You done pissed me off. I'm still using YouTube. They're still getting ad revenue, so I don't think they care, but I don't know. I don't have the imagination to come up with any non-shitty conceivable reason that anyone would ever reply like that. Hey, did you do the thing that you said you did? The only reason anyone would ever do that... Now, if it was a one-time thing, if it's just like, okay, someone dropped the ball on this. That's funny. We all have bad days, that happens. But no, this is every single reply I ever get from Team YouTube or Team Twitter or any of the social media help teams. It feels deliberate. Maybe I am wrong in believing that no one is genuinely that stupid or that incompetent. I've been wrong along those lines before. Chicago says maybe they just have a short attention span. They forgot you stated you changed your settings and regurgitated it back to you, or they just don't read the full tweet. Yeah, you know, it's probably that. It's probably they read anyone else having an issue with YouTube vids defaulting to a low resolution, and they stopped right there. Even though there's another whole half of the sentence, and 3 sentences following that, they just... Maybe it is an AI. Maybe there's an AI trolling for certain keywords like issue with resolution, and this uncapitalized response is a boilerplate that's just pasted into replies. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Chicago says people's stupidity doesn't surprise me anymore. Yeah. Allow me to get uncomfortably personal for a moment. Maybe this will help me. It's definitely not going to help you, but it might help me feel better. There are, unfortunately, several people now who, at one time, were a big, important part of my life. Until I found out or realized that they had become, or perhaps always had been, genuinely terrible people. And so I removed them from my life. That's never fun. It's never fun to discover that someone you have long admired, respected, esteemed, even loved, is a genuinely shitty human being. And being unsure of yourself, did they just become a bad person recently? Or were they always that way and I just failed to notice until now, when it became overbearing and explicit? And that's never a fun thing to wonder either. So, one of the, sadly, several people I've booted from my life texted me last night asking if I wished to be included in their will. Now, this is someone I have not seen nor spoken to in 5 or 6 years. Something like that. They've contacted me on occasion. Several years back, I'm not the kind of person to ghost. I don't begrudge anyone when faced with a toxic person in their life to just cut bait and leave. That's completely fine. That's a valid response. Again, I do not begrudge anyone that decision. That's not how I do, however. What I do... Something got moderated here. There we go. So my response, after stressing over this decision for 5-6 months, really taking the time to consider, do I really want to cut contact with this person? Wasn't something I was, it was something when I decided to do it. I didn't do it immediately. Again, this is just how I do things. I sat on it and thought about it and really, really reflected on it for months before I sent them an email which itemized all the problems I had with them and explained explicitly why I didn't want to see them nor speak with them anymore. This person, along with every single other one I've booted out of my life, come to think of it, not only did not respond to any of the reasons I articulated for cutting them out of my life, they didn't even acknowledge that I'd written any of them. Almost like Team YouTube clearly not reading my damn tweet. Like, they read the one part and skipped the rest of it. And I have heard through mutual acquaintances that this particular person claims that they have no idea why I cut them out of my life. Huh. Well, I guess add "you're a fucking liar" to the list of things that I don't like about you and why I don't want to talk to you or see you. Because yes, you do know why I cut you out of my life. I wrote you an email. An itemized list of reasons. And you responded to that. Did you not read it? Did you forget? Or are you lying to other people who then come to me? It's like, Andrew, you cut this person out of your life? They don't know why. Yes, they do. So this person texts me last night. It says, "Do you wish to..." I'm sorry, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need to know, do you wish to be included in my will? I'm an asshole. I am. I try very hard not to be. I fail at that a lot. I mean, brownie points for effort, but, you know, I don't always succeed in every endeavor. I personally, and again, this is just a me thing, I do not have a problem with anyone who sees this differently. The idea, wills, when it comes to, you know, last will and testament, I don't like the idea of profiting from someone's death. You know, oh, this person died. You get money and or stuff. That squicks me out. I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. So, the correct and pedantically literal answer to the question, do you wish me to include you in my will, is no. I have no active desire to be included in your will in whatever capacity. That goes for anybody, not just someone I don't like. Now, specifically when it comes to this person, whom I don't like, it's true I have no active desire to be included in their will, but I have no active desire to be excluded from it either. I genuinely don't care. And a will is a personal thing. I also, for this person I don't like, and everyone else who may write their own will at some point, don't think my desires are relevant to what you decide to include or exclude in or from your will. It's right in the name. It's your will, not mine, yours. It's not your and my will, your will. Do what you want with your will. Now, in this particular case, I don't like the person, so I genuinely don't care. However, as stated, I'm an asshole. I try not to be. So I spent all night and most of the following morning trying to come up with a response that is honest and communicates that I don't give a shit. But when we're talking about I'm going to die someday, I mean, that's a very sensitive personal topic. I don't want to be an asshole about it. So I did the best I could to say that I don't feel that my desires have any bearing on what you decide to include or exclude from your will. It's your will. Do what you want with your will. And they responded with, let me get this right. I said, I don't believe that my wants should have any bearing on how you write your own will. There are probably better ways to phrase that, but that was the best, after 12, 14 hours, that was the best I could come up with to communicate. I honestly don't give a shit. I don't believe that my want should have any bearing on how you write your own will. They responded, I'm just trying to honor your wish to have no contact. You're contacting me to honor my wish that we have no contact? Okay, number one, that's stupid. Number two, I never said that I wish we have no contact. What I said in the email that I composed and detailed, all the reasons, was I don't want to see you or speak to you. That doesn't say I wish no contact. I said, I have these problems with you. If you fix them, let me know. Otherwise, piss off. It was more elegant than that, but that was the thrust of my communication those years ago. I can't brook this itemized list of stuff, and I don't want to speak to you or see you while this is relevant. You ever pull your head out of your ass and realize that you are a bad person in these regards, and you take steps to fix that, then perhaps we can reestablish a relationship. Until then, I don't want to see you, I don't want to talk to you. And again, never responded to any of that. Never acknowledged I wrote any of that. Have lied to other people that I just up and walked away one day. That's not helpful. In fact, their first response was to say something along the lines of, I had made a strategic error in pushing them out of my life because they were one of only 3 people on Earth who actually love me. And one of those 3 people is dead. Wow. You're not making this decision very difficult. Fuck you. I mean, I don't know, and this response came a month after I sent that email. Their response, so they'd obviously been sitting on this and crafting this and developing this response for a month. And what they came up with is, I'm one of the very few people on Earth who actually likes you, so, getting rid of me, probably not the best bet, bozo. Oh, wow. Boy, you're making a convincing case here. So, sorry to dump the personal stuff. That's some of what I've been dealing with this week. That has me in a bit of a tiff. So, let's see. Chicago says, could be that they were shitty people the whole time, but weren't open about it. As they got older, they didn't care what people thought anymore and started showing their toxicity. With this particular person, I'm still unsure. Known them my whole life. Thought the world of them for decades. Looked up to them. Role model. Thought they were the coolest, smartest, just bestest person in the world. Until I found out they weren't. And I sat there going, did they change at some point? Or did I just, or were they always like this and I just ignored it or overlooked it or excused it or somehow didn't notice? I mean, I'm dense. Even for a dude, I am dense. So, I don't know. Cafe Fox, hello. Willful ignorance? Yeah, maybe. Chicago says, you're a better person than I. I would have said, you're not in mine. I don't expect to be in your will. Yeah. I mean, just because I don't like you, not you, Chicago, a hypothetical person, just because I don't like a person doesn't mean I don't wish them well. You know? I don't like you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. That doesn't mean I want you to die or be miserable or sick. I just don't want to be around you for the reasons I helpfully detailed in the email. So, you know, I didn't want to respond with just a curt no. I didn't want to respond with I don't care. Because indirectly we're talking about someone's eventual death, right? I don't want to say, I don't want anything from you. I mean, I don't. I mean, but that's not a you specifically thing. I'm not comfortable benefiting from the deaths of others. Hey, this person died. Now you get money. I don't like that. Well, can't you use money? Oh, yeah, I can use money. And even if I didn't need it, I could find someone who does, but I just, you know. Anyway. Chicago says, sounds like they wanted to be as hurtful as possible. Oh, with the, essentially nobody loves you. Yeah, I mean, if that had come, like, within 24 hours, I would have just chalked that up to being angry and hurt and having a bad reaction. Which is why personally, I don't respond immediately to anything that's sensitive or emotional. I always take the time to really think about it. Which more people on social media should do. But that whole no one loves you, except 3 people and one of them's dead now. That was, that came a month later. That was something they sat and thought about for a while. I got another, person that I know who I, told them, you know, don't ever contact me. This person actually did tell them not to contact me again, specifically because they're a virulent bigot. And I'm not going to make room in my life for such people. And this person occasionally emails me, oh, yeah, and alters between, oh, I love you and blah, 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 and don't be a dick. me. That's rich, coming from a bigot. Oh well. So, switching topics, Persona 5 has beaten me. And so, it is now back on my shelf. I'm done with Persona 5. I didn't beat the game. I had to stop playing it. I wasn't having any fun. And Firelight, hello. And that makes me very sad because I really want to like this game because there's a lot about it I really, really do like. But at the end of the day, I'm just not enjoying the game. Overall, it's frustrating and boring me, and I also don't know if I could go any further in the game because I don't know how the hell to get past this one boss fight. It's the same boss fight I was on when I hung up the game for like the second time a few weeks ago. Okamura, I think his name is. The Space Palace. So this is a weird gimmick fight where he sends out waves of enemies. A wave has 4 enemies in it, and they all have a specific weakness. So, here's the thing though. You have to destroy all 4 of them at the same time, and you have to do it quickly. And the whole thing is timed. You have to beat the boss in 30 minutes or you lose. So that's annoying. Tried it again today. It'd been a few weeks. I'm like, alright, I'm going in. I know what the gimmick is. I know what the weakness to each wave is. So I know how to organize my party and stuff. And still couldn't beat it. I got to the final wave, and the final wave has, 4 big robot dudes, and I know what their weakness is, but the problem is they are just too tanky. I can't defeat them fast enough. Because not only do you have to defeat them all at the same time, you have to do it within like 2 or 3 rounds, otherwise the enemies, no matter how much damage you've done, you can chip away at them, and I can get them down to like, get down to a third of their health, and they just walk away. And they do it one at a time. It's really insulting. They just turn around and walk away, and then they get replaced by a fresh batch, and now you have to start over, and that keeps happening. You're going to run out of time. There's must be something I'm missing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Because their weakness, only 2 of my 4 party members, of the potential 4 that you can have in the active party, have the spell that they're weak to. So I can't really rely on doing a big baton passing chain to increase my attack power to really smack them. And for some reason, the all-out attack is not available in this fight. Brian did say to me that perhaps the reason the all-out attack is not available in the fight is because Okamura himself, though he's not targetable, he's there off in the background, sitting in a chair. He's part of the fight, and since you're not hitting him and not exploiting his weakness, it doesn't count that as, I'm like, that's... I don't know, that's kind of bullshit to me, but makes sense. I could see that as a rationalization. I could be wrong about this, but I thought the items, the element-specific items, like the magnetomas and stuff like that, I thought those were available to be used in the baton pass change, but nope, doesn't work. So I can only have a 1 baton pass. Like, Haru, whatever her name, the gal with the axe, the new one. She does her Psy blast, and then tags in the protagonist, and he does a Psy blast. I think they're also weak to curse, and for some reason it's not passed to anybody else. I don't know why the baton pass stops there. Normally it would keep going. So I tried, starting with Haru because she goes first for whatever reason. Then I passed it to someone else and used like a Psy Magnetama. That doesn't continue the chain, so I don't know. Also, they usually like buff the defense of one of the guys, so you have to use an item or something to debuff him, so that everyone gets... Because if one guy is stronger than the other three and you're attacking everybody, 3 of them are going to die and one's going to be left, and they're going to replace all of them and you have to start over again. So I don't know what I'm missing. I'm certainly missing something because I know other people have beaten this game, but I don't want to play it anymore. And that makes me very sad. Again, because there's a lot I like about the game. Aesthetically, holy crap, this stylish ass game. Really love how it looks and how it's themed. That's wonderful. The actual combat is superb. Really loving that. Do they yawn as they turn away? Maybe they have to punch out and the next shift clocks in. Yeah, no, they just turn around, walk away, and then kind of fade into nothing. It's like, you son of a bitch, come back here! I'm not done beating on you. I'm like, so you have to beat him all at once. You have to beat him within like 2 or 3 rounds, and you have to do it within half an hour. Oh, also, it's like, well, Andrew, did you try status effects like sleep? Yes. Yeah, they seem to be susceptible to pretty much all of the, stun, sleep, confuse, dizzy, all that. Here's the thing, though. They shake it off on their next turn. Always. So, because that was my thought. It's like, okay, I only have 2 people who can attack, but I'll use one of my other characters to put them all to sleep. Oh, great, they're all asleep. But on their turn, they just immediately wake up. So they don't skip their turn so I can keep hammering on them. It doesn't work. And I don't have any items or spells that lower everyone's defense. I have some that lower an enemy's defense, but by the time I lower all of their defenses, I've wasted enough turns that they're just going to walk away. Well, how about buffing my entire party? Okay, kind of the same problem, a little more doable, except I don't know, but I don't think buffing my attack has anything to do with the actual spells. I think that's just the physical attack, which I'm not using, because they're not weak to it. So, I don't know. And it wasn't just I got stuck on a boss and can't get any further. I haven't been having fun with the game broadly for a while, and I've put like 70-some hours into this game, so it's not like I didn't get my money's worth. And I'm very glad I played it because I got exposure to a series I had not played. I played, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is a spin-off Persona, but or a spin-off of a game that's it's spun off of. But never played any of the Persona games, so that was a fun experience. It's nice to get an idea of what people are talking about when they refer to Persona 5, because it's a very popular game. I would really like to see it through to the end, but I just don't want to play it anymore. Biggest problems I have with the game is it's just really slow and boring. The combat is really the only thing, from a gameplay standpoint, the combat's the only thing I like. The way this game is paced, it's like 4 to 6 in-game weeks between each major dungeon. And for me, it's dreadfully dull. Which is not helped by the fact that even the characters in the game are bored and complain like I do. Like Ryuji and all the others are like, ugh, I wish there was a bad guy that we could beat. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Also, the writing is not very strong. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, not as strong as a visual novel really needs to be. And Brian also brought up another point. He says, you know, you're a fan of games like Danganronpa and the nonary game, you know, 999 and Last Resort something, those games. The Phoenix Wright games, you played the demo to AI and you really like that. So obviously visual novels aren't the problem, because there's a lot of games that are, you know, half visual novels that I absolutely adore. I'm not into Persona 5. It just, I'm happy when I'm in the palaces, but everything else in the game, stylishly presented as it is, and it is stylishly presented, just bores the hell out of me. And that's a bleeding shame. Truly is. Cafe Fox says, are you underleveled? I don't know how Persona plays. Have never seen it in action. I doubt it. You know how I play. I fight every enemy I come across. And when I get a chance to go into palaces, I play in them for a while because I don't know how many in-game weeks it's going to be before I get to do another one. So I'm probably over-leveled compared to where most people are at the time. So there's probably something in this fight I'm just not understanding or not getting. And if I figured out what that was and got past the fight, it's not this fight. I'm just not enjoying the game. I really enjoyed like the first 20 hours, but after like the second palace, the chinks in the armor started presenting themselves to me. I'm like, oh man, this is paced weird. And by the time we got to like the third palace, I was like, oh man, this is kind of a drag between palaces. Especially whenever you do the palace and then you beat the palace and then you have to sit around for like 2 weeks until the countdown clock hits its arbitrary day. That's the game telling you, yeah, nothing is going to happen for 2 weeks. And then the person confesses and it's like, okay, now it's going to be a couple more weeks before something else happens. Oh god, it's so boring. So, Chicago says, 70 hours, dang, it hurts to leave a game after putting so much time in it. Yeah. I agree. But, you know, no need to do the sunk cost thing. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. I really, truly did. But I'm mostly just bored while playing the game now. I wish there was kind of like, I'll have to look, maybe there's a cheat code that just warps you to the palaces or something, because I'd love to play however many palaces are left I would assume 7, because they seem to be based on the Deadly Sins, and I'm in 5, I think, so I'm guessing there's 2 more. Who the hell knows? I'm guessing one of them's the casino that we saw in the prologue. That would probably be the last one. But my question is, what about Persona 5 Strikers? Anyone played that? It seems to be a Persona Muso game. And I really liked Hyrule Warriors. I really liked Dragon Quest Heroes. So when you take the aesthetics of a property I like and combine it with a Muso game, it's worked for me in the past, so maybe Persona 5 Strikers would be more my speed. Combat that I love, but a bit more fast-paced. I don't know. Maybe Strikers is worth looking into. So Brian or anyone else, if you think that might be a something to try, yeah, let me know. Moving on. Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Blackwater, or Maiden of Blackwater. I don't know if there's a "the" in it or not. That's a Fatal Frame game that came out on the Wii U ways back. And like Zombie U before it, the gimmick of the game is you use the Wii U gamepad as your camera. So, oh my gosh, a ghost, I've got to take a picture of it with my ghost-busting camera. Whoop. Oh, gonna get you, ghost. There you are. Snap, snap, snap. You know, you use the gamepad as a window into the game as your camera's viewfinder to catch the ghosts. Cool. So the way the game was sold back in the day is it was free. But it was only like the first 2 chapters. After that, you could buy DLC, the rest of the game, for $50. So essentially, it was just a really odd way to do a demo. You couldn't buy the game, you had to download the demo and then buy the $50 DLC that's the rest of the game. Weird way to do it, but whatever. So I played the demo, and I thought it was cute. And I was like, you know, this is kind of neat. I'm interested in playing the rest. Not $50 interested, but, you know, when it drops in price to $20, or hell yeah, you know, maybe I'd splurge and try, you know, spend 30, but I'm not paying $50 for this game. It's a little janky. It's neat. It's got a nice atmosphere. The mechanics seem kind of fun, but this doesn't strike me. This is not a game I'm going to pay full price for. It never dropped in price. Not even on Halloween. For the last several years, nearly like 8 years, I occasionally go into the Wii U eShop and, you know, see if Fatal Frame has dropped in price. No, never has. At least if it has, I never caught it. So there was an eShop sale earlier this week, and wouldn't you know it, the Switch port of Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater was on sale for $30. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's a little more than I'd want, but yeah, sure, I'll drop 30 on it, sure. Let's go into the Wii U eShop and see if it's dropped in price. No! Nope! No. It's on sale on the Switch and the other platforms. I think it's also on the PS4 and probably Steam. But it's still $50 on the Wii U. I guess Nintendo really just doesn't want me to play this game. And I could get it on the Switch, but like Zombie U, I don't want to play it on the non-gamepad, non-Wii U gamepad version. Because it's playable, yeah, but why would you... I mean, it would be like playing... What was that game for the Xbox? The mech one with the big... Was it Steel Battalion? The one with the, you know, $150, $200 gigantic controller thing? Yeah, you could play that game without it. Actually, I don't think you could, but you could make a port of the game where it worked on a regular controller. But why would you want to? The fun of the game is this, you know, all the levers and knobs and the button for the windshield wipers, you know? That's the gimmick. That's the draw of the game. So, I guess I'm just not going to play Maiden of Blackwater. Nintendo has decreed that this game on the Wii U specifically will never drop in price. You want to play Maiden of Blackwater the way it was meant to be played, the way it was specifically designed to be enjoyed, you shell out $50, you son of a biscuit. No. No. Scav Tunes, hello. Chicago says, I haven't played it yet, but I did pick up Persona 5 Strikers because it was on sale. Yeah, let me know what you think. Chicago says, I've been eyeing Fatal Frame on the Wii U also. I have never seen it on sale. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye out, and so far as I know, it has literally never dropped in price. And that's like the easiest Halloween sale, too. It's like, come on. I don't know that any of the other systems will be as immersive since they don't have a gamepad to use as the camera. That's the thing, right? You know, Zombie U is my favorite Wii U game. Again, not the best Wii U game, but it is my favorite. And also, I would argue, like, the only Wii U game that really makes a case for the tablet controller. It's the game where you're like, oh, I get it. That's why you want a touch screen on the... Boy, I've been bitching about the same things all... We're almost at the end of the podcast. I didn't even get to any of the video game presentation stuff. You know, you can play Zombie U. I think it's just called Zombie on the PS3 and Xbox One, or PS3 and Xbox 360, or maybe it's on the next... I don't remember. But, or actually, maybe it was on PS4 and Xbox One. Whatever. You can play it, but... And it's perfectly playable, but... You're missing what makes that game unique and special. Is it a lesser experience on the other consoles? I would argue yes. Again, perfectly playable, but... So, when does the store close for 3DS and Wii U? I don't know. I know the Wii store is closed, though. Oh, March of next year? Okay. Alright. So, if you watch this podcast or listen to me complain about things, you've no doubt heard me complain about companies and their digital presentations for upcoming video games. And how Nintendo is broadly one of the only companies that's competent at these type of digital press events. My metric is, at no point when you're trying to sell me something, particularly video games, should I ever go, okay, what's the game though? Like, if I'm watching your trailer for a video game and I have no idea what the video game is, you failed. And I tell you, I have sat through so many Sony and Microsoft and Ubisoft press events where literally half of the game trailers don't clue you in onto what the game actually is. Like, I mean, okay, is it a shooter? First person? Third person? Brawler? Is it a card battler? Is it a dating sim? A visual novel? An RPG? Massively multiplayer online RPG? I have no idea because you just gave me a pre-rendered shot of, like, slimy tentacle H.R. Geiger things writhing around. I mean, it's evocative. It's like, ooh, squishy stuff. I'm certainly getting a mood. What I'm not getting is a game. So I feel, and I may be in the minority here, but if half of the games in your presentation, I don't even know what they are, like what genre they are, well, then I can't be excited for them if I don't know what they are. So you've failed. So I've long complained about these digital press events and how so many companies are just bunk at them. Nintendo usually is very good at this. Very rarely do they have extraneous crap and talking heads that sit there for minute upon minute talking about stuff that no one cares about, or presenters who are so faux excited about every single thing this company does and it just makes you want to puke, or cutting to influencers and other people that I don't know and how much they're enjoying a game that I'm not playing. That's the, you know. So this week there was an absolute glut of digital press events for video games. It started with the Nintendo Direct, which, as expected, was great from the perspective of the 4 dozen games that they showed off. You were clear what every single one was. Now, I would caveat that a little bit. For example, Pikmin 4 was announced, but they didn't have anything to show other than a title treatment for Pikmin 4. Well, Andrew, why aren't you bitching about that? Well, because this is a courtesy I extend to everybody, but if it's the 4th game in an established series, you can get away with that. Like, if they just have Lara Croft, you know, if I'm on the Sony State of Play or something, and Lara Croft just emerges from the shadows and holds up a torch, and then the camera swings around and she's looking at the inside of a tomb or overlooking a valley or something, and it goes, Tomb Raider, stuff happens, 2024. And it's like, Okay, it's Tomb Raider. I know what Tomb Raider is. Yeah, you didn't show me any gameplay. You didn't show me anything about the game. But it's Tomb Raider. I know what Tomb Raider is. I'm disappointed we didn't get to see more. But I'm inclined to excuse things like that. The worst presentation I saw by far, I think, was the Disney games presentation. Oh man, there was a bunch of stuff in there. I have absolutely no idea what the hell it was. Like, they were like, Tron Baklava. I'm like, Tron, okay, what is it? What's the game? I would assume, is it a party game? Like Mario Party, where there's a bunch of different mini games? I mean, it's Tron, that would work. That kind of follows how the movie went. Is it I would imagine an action game of some sort? Who the hell knows? I actually went to Steam to look and to see if they actually had any screenshots. I looked at the screenshot, it was all people standing there with dialogue bubbles. I'm like, is it a visual novel? Read the description, yeah, it's a visual novel. I'm like, I think you didn't want... You remember when we hadn't had a Metroid game in like 10 years, and then Nintendo came out with, they're like, announced Federation Force, and everyone was pissed off? Same thing here. It's not like you can't do spin-offs or try interesting new things. You can. But when we haven't had an entry in the franchise in a decade, now's not the time to do it. At least unless you say, we're doing Metroid Prime 4 and Federation Force. Oh, okay, neat. Like, imagine if the Yakuza franchise had taken a decade break and they came back with Yakuza, Dead Souls, the zombie shooter. Now, I like Dead Souls. I think it's good. If you like the Yakuza games, give Dead Souls a try. The engine clearly wasn't made for shooting, and it is a little janky, but it's perfectly playable, and it is definitely a Yakuza game. I recommend it. But you could understand why everyone would be like, we haven't had a Yakuza game in 10 years, and now you're doing some weird zombie shooter? Rage. Right? So, we haven't had a Tron game in... Have we had a Tron game? I'm sure we have, but it's a visual... It seems like they knew that, and they... that whole presentation was embarrassing. Anyway, the Nintendo Direct was great. Yeah, Pikmin 4, but they did just show off Pikmin Bloom, so you have kind of a concept of what Pikmin is. And they did say right up front, we don't have anything to show you, we just wanted to let you know that we're working on Pikmin 4, it'll be out next year. Okay, cool, fair enough. They didn't have any gameplay from Bayonetta 3. But again, it's Bayonetta 3. We know what Bayonetta is. Also, they were very clear that we're not showing any gameplay right here, but check our channel after the show. We'll have like a 7 or 8 minute video of Bayonetta gameplay. You know what? Okay, cool. They didn't show any gameplay from GoldenEye. Of course, the game's 25 years old. I think most people... I mean, again, they just showed a title screen. I mean, if you've never heard of GoldenEye for the N64, you may be like, okay, what is that then? I am inclined to cut some slack in certain circumstances. So the Nintendo Direct was good, but it was with trepidation that I... Oh, by the way, best games... that one game that's coming from the Danganronpa team, I forget what the name is, Code Rain or something like that. That looks pretty slick. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing of that. And also, believe it or not, the Fist of the North Star themed fitness boxing game. You remember? I showed this off on one of the Extra Life charity events. This game, right? Fitness boxing. It's the exercise game where you just box at the screen. It's exactly this, just Fist of the North Star themed. So, I forget what the dude's name is. Kenshiro, I think. He's like, oh, you box with Kenshiro. That's amazing. I love that. What wonderful use of the IP. Am I going to get it? Probably for next year's Extra Life charity event? Sure. So, best games. There you go. Okay, so... I went into the Sony state of play going, alright, this is probably going to suck. Surprisingly, it did not suck. They didn't have as many... State of Play did a little bit of... Nintendo was like, alright, we're going to do like 40-some games in 40 minutes, so like a minute per game. Sony was like, no, we're going to do like 10 games in 20 minutes. We're going to do a couple of minutes for each game. Sure, fine. But they took a couple minutes to show what each game was, and I came out of Sony's State of Play going, oh, cool. I get what all the games are. I know what they are, so I can make an informed, so I can be excited or not. Let's see. TTT. Chicago says, true, since it's the fourth game in a series, you know what to expect. If it's a spin-off of an established series, then they need to show how it plays. Scav says, also a million farming games. Yeah, if you like them farming life sim type games, oh, you're in hog heaven, because there's a lot of them right now. So next, the following morning, real early, was the Ryoga Gotoku Studios Summit, which I found kind of interesting, because I've been bitching for years. I want localized ports of the spin-offs, Yakuza Ishin and Yakuza Kenzan, which were the... they're the feudal Japan samurai Yakuza games. They take the cast from the Yakuza series and drop them into feudal Japan and, give them swords and stuff. It's great. It's wonderful. And one of them was like, Kenzan came out on the PS3, I think, in 2008 or so, and then the other one was a PS3, PS4 game that came out in 2012 or 14, somewhere around there. Probably 2014 being PS4, but... So, I've long been, I really want localizations, and on the State of Play, Yakuza Ishin was, well, I'll get to that, but Ishin was announced. Not only is it a localization, it's a Kiwami version, so it's a remake. So they've taken, since Ishin originally came out, Yakuza 6 and 7 and 0 and, yeah, those games have come out. So they've taken some of the characters from Yakuza 0 and 6 and 7 and replaced some of the generic characters in Yakuza Ishin with characters you'd recognize, with character models and voice talent from the later games in the series. So that's fun. And I was like, well, that kind of steals the thunder. And of course, again, as I mentioned at the start of this podcast, I'm an asshole. So the first thing I said, where's Kenzan? Andrew, aren't you happy that you're finally getting Yakuza Ishin? Yes. Now where's Yakuza Kenzan? Andrew, are you telling me you are going to look at that Ishin-shaped horse, gift horse mouth and go, where's Kenzan? Kenzan? Because it's very echoey on that gift horse's mouth. Yes, I will do that. Because I'm an asshole. No, Kenzan was never announced. Will we get a localization of Kenzan at some point? Probably, yeah. I mean, kind of weird that they go for Ishin first. I was thinking like, oh, okay, are they going to announce Ishin at the State of Play, and then during the summit they're like, oh, we've got Kenzan too. Either sold separately or as part of it. No, not mentioned at all anywhere. So as long as Ishin doesn't tank, I'm sure we'll get a Kenzan port at some point, which I still want. That one being PS3 needs a lot more, would need a lot more work if they want to do more than just a straight port. They'd probably have to. Yeah, Ishin was a PS4 title, so, wouldn't be as difficult, although they are using the Unreal 4 engine, Unreal Engine 4, instead of the Dragon Engine, their in-house Dragon Engine. According to the producer, it's because, the Dragon Engine is good at neon lights, but the Unreal Engine 4 looks a lot better in open daylight spaces. I don't know if that's true, but okay. So, Yakuza Ishin would be a lot easier to make pretty with less work. Kenzan is an older game, it's 2008's PS3. That one they'd probably have to completely rebuild, so maybe not too surprising that Ishin's coming first, because Kenzan might take more work, especially if they want to do a Kiwami version, which if they are going to be doing that much work to bring it up to modern standards, they'd probably want to do anyway. So if Ishin doesn't tank, we'll probably get Kenzan at some point. And we should, because the games look awesome. And also, seems like a really good time because feudal Japan games are pretty hot right now. I mean, we just got off of Ghost of Tsushima. There was that Trek to Yomi game. There's another one, I forget its name, but it's essentially the same idea, just in China. Um, there was another one announced during the State of Play, another feudal Japan samurai game. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a farming mini game in Ishin where you like pluck radishes from the ground, daikon from the ground. So you've got the feudal Japan thing. You've got farming. I think it's going to be a hit. So that's coming out in February. So 5 months or so. So really looking forward to that. Also, the RGG Summit announced 2 other games. Also, it's not called Yakuza Ishin. It's called Like a Dragon Ishin, which is funny because that's what the translation of the Japanese title Ryoga Gotoku is, Like a Dragon. So they've dropped the Yakuza branding. 7, the RPG mechanic turn-based one, was released here in the West as Yakuza Like a Dragon. The next game is just going to be called Like a Dragon 8. So they're dropping the Yakuza, which spoilers for the games if you haven't played them, I suppose. But the Yakuza clans have been dissolved, so they kind of don't exist anymore. I mean, it certainly makes sense for the old ones where it's the Yakuza isn't around back then, and they're not around in modern day either to the extent that they were. So it makes sense. So we're getting Like a Dragon Ishin. Next year, we're also getting a Like a Dragon Kiryu's adventures between Yakuza 6 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. I forget what the name is, but we're getting a Kiryu side story to see what he's up to, because he's going to co-star with Kasuga Ichiban in Like a Dragon 8, which is 2024 sometime. So, a lot of stuff on the horizon. I hope they have an interesting story to tell. I'll admit, Kiryu's story wasn't the greatest end. It wasn't the greatest closure on Kiryu. I think they handled him still kicking around in the wings in Yakuza Like a Dragon pretty well. But him coming back and co-starring in Yakuza 8, or Like a Dragon 8, I'm like, can't you just let this character retire? Are you never going to move out from under the shadow of Kiryu Kazuma? Man Without a Name. It's something like that. Hi, Jared. The RGG Summit was not a digital... like many Japanese presentations, it's more of a press conference where you have a bunch of people sitting at a table and then they talk about stuff. And they didn't really have a lot of gameplay to show, especially if you don't speak Japanese. There were live translators, but this one was not very great. Their style... It was just a different style. Their style was to translate by giving an impression of what they're talking about rather than just do a straight live translation. I honestly just prefer just translate the damn thing. Rather, they're talking about this and they're making a joke about this thing. I'm like, just translate it, please. But anyway, moving on, we had the Xbox Independent Games Show, which proceeded pretty nicely. No. That one was... At least the games, I understood what they were, but, the presentation was kind of crap. All due respect to the presenter, I'm sure you're a lovely person, but we didn't need you. I would have cut all that stuff, just unnecessary. Then there was the Capcom Online program, which was okay. It was fine. Another the Japanese-style conference kind of things, and... I don't think there was much new. Yeah, it was fine. Got some looks at some stuff. It was fine. Then we had the Game Devs of Color Expo Direct, which focused entirely on the games. So, yeah, I mean, no, you think they would have done a quick, hi, I'm the titular game dev of Color, and I developed this game. It's fun. Go play it. Just let's get to know some of these people since we're highlighting them. But, no. But it was a decent little montage of games. So so at this point, I was pretty impressed. Then we had the Call of Duty Next event. I think Activision was trying to kill us. This event started with two presenters. A woman who was dressed in sparkly green pants and a white blouse that was over one shoulder and tied on the side and all ruffly and a real fancy getup. Looked like she took some time to pick out an outfit and get all gussied up and prepared to present a new Call of Duty game. And the guy was in jeans and a t-shirt. Dude. Like, at least wear a shirt with a collar. I mean, come on. I can only imagine, man, if I had spent time and money, or maybe she didn't. Maybe she just showed up to, whether it was her or someone else, someone picked out her outfit and did her hair and makeup and did all the stuff, and then saw this jackass show up in jeans and a t-shirt. It's like, why do I even bother? It's disrespectful, sir. Jeans and a t-shirt, you dork. I mean, if both presenters were in very casual wear, you know, cool, fine. But that, I didn't like that. But what I didn't like more was these two goobers, for 7 solid minutes, stood there and did the pat, "We're here to show you a game that is really cool. A really cool game that cool gamers like you like, because it's cool and you're cool. And when you're cool, you like what's cool. In this game, it's cool. And we're going to show you this cool game that we've worked long and hard on." Because I said hard on. And we're cool. And it's just that bullshit for 7 minutes. And it's like, no one can. And they're not telling you anything interesting. They're just wasting time. It's really frustrating. And then they showed the 2-3 minute trailer for Call of Duty Warfare 2 Part 7, whatever the hell it's called. And there was a big technical glitch where the picture went out for like 10 seconds. And then the trailer ended. And then it started again. And just, they played the whole thing again. I don't know if they did that because they had a technical problem, or playing a second time was another technical problem, but whew. Also, the presentation was 5 hours long! I mean, if you really, really, really like Call of Duty, hog heaven, I suppose, but good God. I'm like, no, I'm not watching this whole thing. I don't care about Call of Duty. Nothing wrong with the game, just, you know, not that into it. I watched the trailer and go, oh, that looks neat. It's fun production, but I have no interest in watching you guys play Call of Duty for 5 hours. No. Says a guy who does a 5-hour video game stream every Sunday, so, you know. I'm not pooing on anyone who wants to, but I was like, no, I don't want to. Let me check something real quick. What is it? It's what is that side story Like a Dragon game? It is called The Man Who Erased His Name. That's what Like a Dragon. Oh, I'm sorry, Like a Dragon Gaiden. The Man Who Erased His Name. There you go. That's what it's called. So So after Activision, we have, or Call of Duty, we had the Street Fighter 6 special program, which, again, they showed the game. I get what Street Fighter 6 is, and they showed some of the more, giving you a sense of what the story mode is, and this whole open world that you can wander around, and it's like, well, that's a thing that could work. Then there was the Konami special program. I'm like, is it going to be pachinko machines? He says, because, again, he's an asshole. No, it was not all pachinko machines. It was all Yu-Gi-Oh! No, it wasn't all Yu-Gi-Oh! But it was about 1/3 Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they had very little else. In fact, I can't remember what else they had. Yeah, I can't remember anything else they had. But no pachinko. But yeah, nice to see. Bomberman R2 was one of them. Cool. 505 Games had a presentation. It went fine. They showed games. Fine. There was a Sega Atlas booth report. So you got to see a little bit of Sonic Frontiers, and you saw some more Ishin. That presentation had the worst editing I've ever seen. The hosts were that faux excited about absolutely everything kind of demeanor that I can't stand. But I feel like whoever edited that presentation hated both of them with a passion that burns hotter than the fire of 1,000 suns. Because when you do this, and now we're gonna look at Sonic Frontier, that's where you cut. Sonic Frontier, cut. What you don't do is Sonic Frontier, cut. You don't do that to people. Now, when you're performing, you hold. Sonic Frontier. You do that because what you don't want to do is Sonic Frontier. And because you immediately drop, and then the editor, you're always going to be too early, and it's going to cut early. So what you want to do is, for those of you who want to make YouTube videos, make sure that when you get to the end of what you're doing, you stop. Don't look down. Don't drop what you're doing. Don't let your face fall. And this is the end of my video. And then you go and do what you want, right? It gives you a chance to cut it exactly where it needs to be. When you're an editor, don't wait until they drop to cut it, because there's nothing meaner than leaving these poor saps going, Sonic Frontier! My face is gonna split from holding the stupid smile. Why would you do that to anyone? Did those two presenters, run over your dog or something? Good God. That was the worst editing I've ever seen. I mean, specifically mean editing. Don't ever do that to people. It's just not right. Then there was the Sega New presentation, which was a lot of the same stuff, but it was that formal panel of people sitting at a table and talking about stuff. It's a very Japanese way to present stuff, so that's how they do. Not my preferred format, but I mean, as long as they actually show games and I get what the game is, I'm like, it's fine. Not my style, especially because I don't speak Japanese, but they had live translations or subtitles for a lot of them, so it was fine. And then finally today I watched 110 Industries presents Wanted Dead. Wanted Dead is a game that when I first saw I said, well, that looks kind of neat. It's got a really interesting aesthetic and style to it. It's a, brawler, shooty, slashy kind of game. And it also seems to be taking a page from the Yakuza bunch of fun, goofy mini games. Like there's a ramen bowl eating mini game. You're like, who can finish the ramen first? That's silly. There appears to be like a crane game, an arcade with some stuff you can play. The main character has a robot arm. I mean, it looks neat, right? You walk around, you stab things with a sword, and you shoot them with a gun, and then you can do a crane game. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's got a nice visual style with interesting character design. Then I saw the first actual continuous gameplay, and I was like, oh no. Oh, this looks bad. Well, it's early yet. So, the 110 Industries presents Wanted Dead was like 40 or 50 minutes of apparently unscripted someone just playing through parts of the game. But there were also weird insert shots to, like, infomercials for baking a cherry tart, which had no context to explain what that was, or if that was part of the game, or... I mean, I'm assuming it's part of the game, but instead of being cute and funny and kitschy and weird, it was just, I don't understand what's happening now. Also, whoever was playing the game had a debug menu because a couple times they opened the debug menu to kill enemies that they couldn't get past. And the combat still looks like it doesn't control very well. The enemies just kind of stand there. The combat does not look very satisfying when it's played continuously. When you die, there's like a 20-second cutscene with a dude slowly walking over to you, stabbing you with adrenaline or something, and then picking you up off the floor and giving you your sword back. And it's like, oh, that is punishing. I like the idea that some medic has to pick you up off the ground, but come on, let's move on. The sound design is terrible. There's one sound clip for grenade! Grenade! Every time someone throws a grenade, grenade! It's like, oh my god, this is really bad. Also, there was a significant slowdown in one part. Like, the game slowed down to a crawl and then froze for like 10 seconds. I'm like, oh god. Is this being streamed live or something? Oh, this is embarrassing. I don't know. I don't think Wanted Dead is going to be any good. It looks really bad. 110 Industries, I mean, especially for a Japanese audience, they must have been extraordinarily confused. Well, actually, the menus were all in Japanese, so it was the Japanese version of the game, so maybe they could follow bits of it more easily, but there was, like, no narrator kind of explaining what we're doing real quickly in the menus and, you know, how it can... It was just, here, just watch some guy play through a game for 40 minutes. Who's not particularly good at the game and not showing it off in a very good light. I mean, the marketing has done its job. The actual professionally cut trailers for the game, I was like, ooh, this looks like it might be neat. I'll keep an eye on that. And then I saw some bozo play it, and I'm like, ooh, this is looking like a no. Yeah, that is looking like a no. And then it ended with our protagonist with the robot arm going into an arcade where some other characters playing like R-Type or some similar shooty game, and he turns to her and signs to her something, and I don't know ASL, so I don't know if it was ASL, but I didn't recognize anything he said. But, you know, cool that we've got a possibly deaf character into the game, or, you know, someone who signs. That's neat. And then she plays the game, and the last 5 minutes of the presentation are just this arcade game. And then it, like, just cuts and stops. I'm like, did someone just pull the plug on this? Or that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Well, not ever. I've seen some weird things, but like I saw the season 2 finale of Primal today. That was a choice. I dare say, not the right one. You know, there's if you've been enjoying Primal as I have, you do have to suspend disbelief a bit. Dinosaurs and humans at the same time. Sure, okay, cool. Magic, all right. Gigantic, and I mean like impossibly large boat. Sure, fine, whatever. I can see that it's floating. That physically would not work in real life, but you know whatever. I dig it. Angry dude who dies and goes to hell and then sells his soul to come back as a flaming demon monster. Yeah, sure. All right. I dig it. I dig it. But Mira's final act? No. No, not no, that's no. And not because of consent issues, but that just physically wouldn't work. That's impossible. No. And I'm not going to Why would they do that, says Scav? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens at the end of Primal, but now don't get me wrong. I like where it could be going into a season 3. I like ultimately the direction that the show may take. I think that's fine, but Mira's final act with Gary or whatever our lead cave dude's name is, that physically and physiologically wouldn't work for really obvious reasons. I mean, ignoring issues of consent. Not only is it physically impossible, I'm not buying this at all, but that's just mean. I mean, if you tried that, it wouldn't work, and it would also be extraordinarily painful. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, Primal is on HBO Max. So, so yeah. Okay, well, that's all I have to say for tonight. So I hope you've enjoyed my dumping ridiculously personal stuff that I shouldn't dump on anyone, and everything else I talked about tonight. I feel so much better, so much lighter, and now I'm going to have dinner or something. So, join me tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, and we'll play some more Trails in the Sky of the Third. And until then, have yourselves a lovely evening. Sleep well, take care, bye-bye.